Hello, today I want to talk about shooting Portra 800 at 1600. So that means one stop over the box speed of 800. I shot this roll of film one stop over in terms when compared to box speed with my trusty Pentax 17, which is a half frame camera. So that definitely pushed the film, not just in terms of developing it, but rather in terms of how well it could resolve on a smaller film format, because obviously half frame means half of a full frame image. So I shot this film in a variety of lighting conditions, from cloudy to very dark and foggy. And so you'll get a sort of flavor of what shooting Portra 800 at 1600 speed can produce. You're going to see examples on screen, and I'm going to talk through them. So we start on a dark and wet winter morning, waiting for a train to come by. You can see this shot of the platform, the reflection of the wet pavement, and also the lighting on the platform there with the very characteristic halation. The next shot is of an avenue in the city, and you can see both a building that has these sort of accent lights that delineate its silhouette, as well as traffic lights and car lights. So it's a nice combo of different things. And what I would say is that both the last image and this image are quite punchy. And so yeah, from these images so far, I would say that pushing the film one stop definitely boosts the contrast and boosts the color saturation. And that's quite nice in this context where it was a fairly clear dark scene without any fog, and then the increased contrast and saturation really kind of highlights the reflective wet surfaces of the city. This next shot at dawn has that telltale halation around the street lamp, and it's also pretty grainy. Again, boosting the contrast and boosting the saturation means more grain, which is then further accentuated because of the half frame format. In this next shot, which is in landscape mode, because the one thing about the Pentax 17 is that by default you're shooting in portrait orientation. So that means like this, it's portrait, and then like this, it's landscape, which is the opposite from other cameras. It's one of the quirks of the half frame format. But in this shot, it was a gray day. It was kind of in mixed indoor lighting, and you're getting some cool colors, but also a very decent amount of detail in this quite busy scene. I really like this portrait shot. So here we had fairly clear skies. It was early in the morning, but just the color gradients and just the softness of the light is really well captured here. And I like the contrast of the kind of greenish lights in that lower floor corridor, contrasting with the warmth of the rising day. In this shot of a vacant lot, I think it's actually deceptively quite a high dynamic range shot. You have the contrast of the fairly bright sky with the sort of dank low light areas of the vacant lot. And I think that the film handles it really well. And kind of the same thing in this next landscape shot, where I was shooting kind of into the direction where the sunlight was coming from, so not ideal, but you can still see plenty of detail on the buildings and on the street. And again, another example of a shot where the film really captured the dynamic range of the scene really well, and you can see the textures of the clouds, which have a very kind of rhythmic quality to them. So in this next shot, I was literally shooting into a dark ceiling, a painted black, and you just have the detail of these ceiling lamps, which I thought looked quite cool, and you have that classic halation. Another high dynamic range kind of shot at the end of a parking lot. You have the texture of the gray wall. It's a pretty gray day, so the light is pretty kind of blasted. It's definitely the highlight there. The shadows might be a little bit crushed, especially in this scan, but I don't know, I like this image. Another shot from a train station platform, this time at dusk, and you can see those pink and violet tones in the sky, but overall quite a muted scene. Again, this is a little bit of a theme. Another train station platform, this time indoors or covered. So it's also at dusk, fairly low light, mixture of the skylight, a little bit of light coming in from above, and then the indoor lighting. But I think I like the feel of this scene, and there's a decent amount of detail in there. So I kind of did hit pay dirt with this roll of film, because there was one morning that was both very foggy and very dark, which is, ideal. So I knew I had to take my camera out with me, and these next shots are from that very early morning. You can see that the building in the distance is kind of ghostly and ominous, and then you have the car headlamps kind of, you can really trace their reach into the road. And then we have these empty platforms at the train station, and again, you can see how the light kind of blends into the scene very pleasantly. And I think this might be one of my favorite shots from the whole roll. I mean, it looks kind of vintage because of the foggy light situation, and it's catching the brake lights from the cars and the street lamps, and just adding this whole sort of air of mystery. And it kind of gives this whole scene, which you've seen to compare it with. You've seen this exact scene shot on a clear morning. It gives it a very different feel and a more timeless feel, I would say. And we end kind of where we started, at the end of the platform, with the platform lighting there being softened by the fog. So yeah, all in all, I think that if I get more 35mm rolls of Portra 800 these next few months, I think I will consider shooting them, rating them at 1600. Who knows? Maybe 3200? You never know. It might be worth a shot. Let me know what you think in the comments about that. And also feel free to share your experiences pushing film. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, take care.